Open your eyes.
Welcome to the SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 19, recorded on November 17th, 2020. Today we're going to be discussing the demo for Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. Today I'm joined by Nathan.
Hey.
And my name is Dakota. So we can get started by talking about the gameplay. So the gameplay is pretty much just your regular old Dynasty Warriors game.
Hack and slash.
Just you got a million enemies in front of you. I wouldn't say a million, but there's a good amount of enemies. It makes it satisfying.
It does feel different from the first Hyrule Warriors game, which I know you haven't played before. Personally speaking, I think they made this game feel a lot more like Breath of the Wild than they did make it feel like a Hyrule Warriors. Do you ever get bored of the gameplay?
Well, I've only played maybe an hour or so, probably. So far, I'm a little bit bored of the gameplay, which
Mm,
isn't a good sign. But I'm definitely not the person to be playing the game when you're just sitting there, kind of just hacking at enemies. I wasn't really focused at all.
yeah, it's kind of a mindless game.
I'm probably gonna avoid doing the side quests, unfortunately, because I feel like
Really?
if it's just gonna keep going with this hack and slash stuff and it's not gonna change anything, I feel like I'm gonna get really bored really fast. But I'll probably just speed through the main storyline and that'll be it. I might miss some stuff.
Yeah, you'll probably get bored of it because even if you set it to the highest difficulty, it's going to be very easy for you. At least that's as far as I know from the demo. 20 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I logged in
What?
20 hours into the demo just because I wanted to grind everything up to the level cap that they had, level 20. I will say it's been pretty boring. Pretty repetitive.
I was kind of expecting it to be boring going into it. I was
Yeah.
just kind of playing it so I could see my favorite characters from Breath of the Wild
Hmm.
interact with each other with more voice acting, more unique dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it for that, I'd say, just to play through the demo. We'll have to see until a full game comes out if it's
Oh,
worth it to
yeah.
play through it all, because the story beats people already kind of know. I've never played a Dynasty Warriors game, so I was a little bit lost on how weapons are going to be put into this, how every single item I'm going to be picking up. Like, I'm picking up a lot of random items. I don't know how that's going to mix into the actual gameplay.
So far, though, I'd have to say this game is a lot more simpler than the first Hyrule Warriors game. So you're kind of lucky there.
Well, so far, yeah, you get to play with 3 characters instead of every single character imaginable in Zelda history.
They don't throw you with all these little menus and such. They kind of just give you something easy to learn, I'd say. Because the first game had a complicated system. Like you go to maybe smith weapons together, but it didn't give you the same inventory as as Age of Calamity did. It was kind of like a messy list of stuff that you had. They simplified it so much, and I think it's for the better. But even then, it's boring for some of you.
It does probably make it more approachable from a casual standpoint because they see, oh, maybe a casual audience played Breath of the Wild, is gonna play this game, and I did notice that they reuse the assets from the menuing or the menus.
Oh, they reused assets for basically everything.
I did notice that the cutscenes looked a little bit better in some cases.
Yeah, of course, because
I think what's Robbie and what's the girl's name?
Pora.
There we go. Uh, their cutscene, I noticed her hair wasn't really. It looked kind of flat, but maybe because it was a model with the texture on top instead of like a full 3D render. But that's just very nitpicky at the
It
end.
could be a design choice, could be maybe the result of the lighting of that one cutscene, because it was inside.
Well, the first cutscene looked really cool. It was almost some of parts were ripped straight from Breath of the Wild almost. They probably did the same modeling, maybe a little bit different lighting, but overall they probably ripped it straight from the files. Like at least maybe I think the one camera shot where they were going through the roads of Hyrule castle or town, and the guardians were running around destroying buildings. All the buildings are on fire. Red is covering the castle. That was almost ripped straight from the uh, flashback scenes from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, I guess. Although I think they added slightly more stuff to it. I think like Guardian Skywatchers.
Then they changed it up about halfway through the cutscene, and they focused on the little egg guardian. I will now call. I'm pretty sure there's a name for it, but I will forever call it
There's
egg
no
guardian.
actual official name to it. It's been suggested to be called Diminutive Guardian or Mysterious Guardian. I don't exactly know. People just call it Egg Guardian, just like how the child from the Mandalorian is called Baby Yoda by the community.
The egg guardian has been in a box this entire time, just before all this stuff is happening, and then
Apparently, yeah.
it has a whistle on the top of his head, which
And it can
also
time
means
travel.
it can time travel.
What the hell?
Once the demo came out, I was like a week late to the demo, so I heard like time travel. I'm like, okay, no
Oh,
way, this
yeah.
is real. And then I
And
open up the game, and it's real.
they just throw it right into your face.
When
Time
the
travel.
guardian saw the little guardian or the egg guardian and
Yeah.
shot at it, I thought the laser blast was gonna go through time with him, and then like end up on the other side like a portal,
Oh,
and you
me
would see a
too.
giant
Yeah.
explosion or something. But they didn't do anything
Mhm.
with it. And to activate the portal, it looked like they played a song almost. I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be the Song of Time. I'm not sure if I didn't hear the Song of Time. I thought it was,
No, it was the
but
slowed down version of the Age of Calamity theme, I think.
oh, that's so boring.
Yeah, it was boring.
Oh
But
my.
but here's the catch though. The Sheikah text around the Gate of Time does mention the name Gate of Time. The one from, the one that you see in other Zelda games.
The implication with time travel in this, I've seen like 4 different timelines there is. Um,
Oh gosh.
I'll give you the first one that I
Hmm.
think of. So I'm this is just time travel from the past.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, wait. From the future to the past,
But what?
and it's all in one timeline, and they just didn't talk about it in Breath of the Wild. And it's just like, oh yeah, okay, we forgot over 100 years. It
So
happened.
basically like a time loop?
Pretty much, and it was already too late, and Destiny already arrived. The other one was maybe at the end of Age of Calamity, we succeed, and the Great Calamity never happens.
So it creates a timeline split.
Exactly, and then that's where we could do the modern Zelda timeline.
I guess that works, but then again, that means 6 timelines within the Zelda timeline. Because you already have the 3 split off from Ocarina of Time, and Breath of the Wild technically takes place in at the end of all 3 timelines. So that would mean splitting up those 3 timelines, putting 2 in both of them, in each of them, making 6 timelines. That's a lot to handle.
I guess so. I think I would almost think of it as a a second timeline to the first classic timeline. It's just a totally separate timeline. This is a brand new Zelda universe.
Honestly, I'd rather have that happen, but timeline
But
splits are just kind of screwing over the fans. If there was a case of this being a timeline split, I think this new timeline split would be one that leads into Breath of the Wild too. Like I'm not so sure. Maybe they did travel back in time in Breath of the Wild 2 to stop Ganondorf, Ganondorf's mummified body. Either that or it just creates a whole different timeline that Nintendo can spawn Zelda games out of and keep the traditional Breath of the Wild one going. Now, the box where that Egg Guardian was found in, I took a look in Breath of the Wild, and I found out that there were actually some major differences between, like, the fairy room Zelda study. I found some major differences. Okay, well, they're actually minor differences or something, but
yeah, because I thought for sure it was Zelda's study room.
yeah, it was. There were some
Oh,
major differences, like the box where the Guardian was is not there in Breath of the Wild, and one of the window doors were ripped off completely in Breath of the Wild, whereas in Age of Calamity, it's just open, ajar. So it's those minor details that I kind
the
of just
minor
looked
details you
into.
sold me on that it's a whole different universe we're looking into. A
Yep.
third universe.
One box and a door makes a difference.
So I just sent you an image there. That's the one that I saw online. That is probably the most straightforward theory. I'll post it on the visual part of the YouTube video. But it basically, for the audio listeners, it basically starts off with, okay, we have this 10,000-year-old legend that what's her old name talked about, Impa
Impa,
talked
yeah.
about. She was just talking about, okay, there's one guy and there's, I guess, a Zelda, there's the knight and Zelda, and then there's the Calamity, and they defeated it. Then it goes to before the Calamity, which is technically what we're going to be playing in Age of Calamity. The Breath of Wild 1 timeline, we're going to be, and that would be going to Breath of the Wild 1. So it would go before the Calamity, and then to the Great Calamity, which is where Zelda and Link, I guess,
Yeah.
lose almost. Uh, and then Link goes into slumber, and then that would go into Breath of the Wild 1. But uh, Age of Calamity would be creating a second timeline that goes from the Great Calamity,
Hmm.
where the Egg Guardian goes back to before the Calamity, and then the past is altered in some way that they succeed in defeating it, and then that's
Mm.
what we're going to be playing through in Breath of the Wild 2, which I think would be pretty cool because we would see a successful and life-bringing Hyrule, almost like I'd say any modern RPG nowadays, where you see thousands and thousands of NPCs walking around. They'll give you a bunch of tasks to do, which
Just
could
like
be
Genshin Impact.
exactly, which could be a really good like opposite to Breath of the Wild's very empty land almost
Yeah,
of
rather
NPCs.
than exploration, it's more like your traditional tasks. I guess that works. Yeah.
I feel like it'd be very dramatic shift, but maybe each will have better than the other. Everything that Breath of the Wild did poorly, then this new one will do. Everything that this new one does poorly, Breath of the Wild did better. And then you can play each game however you want.
But that kind of scares me though, because a lot of people are kind of neglecting Age of Calamity per se, just because it's a hack and slash game, and people are probably skipping out on it because of that hack and slash factor to it. And it kind of worries me because this game might be more relevant to Breath of the Wild 2 than people are treating it as, rather than being just a straight up prequel to Breath of the Wild.
Now I am thinking, who I wonder who the writer is for both of these. Like, I'm assuming they would definitely talk to Nintendo and say, "Hey, can we do this story?"
It was actually the other way around. Nintendo approached Koei Tecmo to make Age of Calamity, and with that, Nintendo shared the story of the Calamity to them so that they could actually make the game.
Oh no.
Nintendo Nintendo has sort of a hands-on thing for the story part of this game, so they screwed themselves over, or they created something that subverts expectations.
Well, consider my expectations definitely subverted. So we were thinking, "Oh yeah." Everybody's joke was, "Yeah, they're gonna do time travel. They're gonna do time travel. They're definitely gonna do time travel." Oh, they did time travel. Yeah, this egg thing that everybody loves, almost like as it's a Nintendo version of Yoda. Yeah, that does time travel.
Oh, jeez. What is Nintendo? Nintendo's trying to get these cute mascots. You have Baby Sidon, and now you have the Egg Guardian. They're both trying to go against what? Baby Groot and Baby Yoda? Oh, jeez.
Well, Nintendo is the video game equivalent of Disney. So, thank you for joining us in our discussion of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity demo. We would love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to all our future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our Discord for insight on future episodes, and see you next time on the Switch Clicks podcast.